first, Jim Comey, the person, the director I worked with, was incredibly personable, articulate, smart on issues, quick on the uptake, experienced as a prosecutor and as a DOJ administrator, the former deputy attorney general, so he knew the department. I believe that Jim Comey was a patriotic American who came to the FBI from private industry, a far more lucrative position that I would imagine had far amount of less stress than he faced as the FBI director. Apolitical, in my view, wanted to let investigations run their course. As you know, the director's job is not to run an investigation. It's to be briefed on the progress of an investigation, ideally to remove barriers and hurdles that might stand in the agent's way, always to be respectful of the Constitution. I think he loved the men and women of the FBI, and the position held that in as a measure. Believed that he had reached the pinnacle of service career and running the FBI, and would go out and tell audiences, large and small, how many days he had left, believing that he was going to be there for 10 years and cherishing every minute.
Ron, as you point out, certainly Jim Comey, people who think he was right and people who think he is wrong say he's a very personable guy, that he is a congenial figure. Yet what seems to be the rap against him is something that's, well, common to people who are involved in political life or in other public life as a public performer, as you will. Comey was not only personable, but he had a great sense of his own person, stepping in, being the center of attention, being the center of action. And that kind of personality, with the notoriety, perhaps most infamously, of July 5th of last year, stepping up, assuming the role of a prosecutor and saying this doesn't rise to a prosecutable case, then outlining essentially the conduct many thought could be classified as criminal on the part of former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. That struck people as a usurpation of power. Is that what did end Jim Comey?
I think that certainly is among the perceived sins. And the truth is, JD, I think fair-minded people could come to that conclusion. I know plenty of FBI alumni, people whose judgments I trust and value, who reach similar conclusions. And the truth is, as an FBI senior executive myself, both in the field and at headquarters, I was not and never did go as far as Jim Comey went last July. I think some people see that as a usurpation of power. That is the province of the prosecutor's office, particularly in a case where you're not recommending or bringing charges. It went far beyond what FBI leaders would typically do and could potentially be sanctioned for had they done it. So I think fair-minded people could reach those conclusions. However, that being said, you have to look at all of these events in context with all of the related things that happen around them, try to understand it through his eyes. Myself, I believe that DOJ could have quickly stepped into that breach after Jim Comey's press event last July the 5th and said, okay, we're in charge here. We will make the final determinations. We disagree with the director. And my question is, where was Loretta Lynch then? Where was Sally Yates then? The Obama administration could have done something.
But Ron, my question for you is personally, based on your evaluation and your time in the Bureau, do you believe that Comey's ouster was the correct thing to do?
I think that the DOJ could have waited until the Inspector General's report. If they were determined to relieve themselves of Jim Comey's leadership, they could have waited for the Inspector General to come back and clarify and crystallize the findings, policy versus what he did. First, I don't believe for a second that what he did for political reasons or because he had a vendetta, pro or against. But I certainly see as potential grounds for removal what he did last July. I also, frankly, JD, I'm offended by the manner in which they did it, which I think was insulting to both this person, Jim Comey, the patriot and good American, and the professionals in the FBI. He was on the West Coast in a meeting and essentially saw the information scrolling up on TV screens behind him. That's how he found out. To me, that demeans him and demeans the men and women of the FBI. But listen, rest assured that that organization is moving forward today. They will not miss a beat in their responsibilities to protect America, whether it's a terrorism case or Russian influence or any other case that's in front of them. Men and women of the FBI are dedicated professionals. They will be moving forward. The organization is bigger than one person.